So, hi all. Thanks for joining this special episode of Lights On, which we call our In Conversation series, where we have celebrities related to cinema and have discussion about their movies, their perspective about cinema in general, and we'll also have an open forum with our audience trying to pick the guest's mind. So, thanks for joining everyone, and we have most of our regulars here. And for today's session, we'll be having director Raj with us, who has made two amazing movies, Mallesham and 8 a.m. Metro. Thanks, Raj, for joining the session. On behalf of Lights On, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Vikram.
So let's get started with how I think we got to know each other. So, but I think I can't talk about Mallesham much because it's very personal to me. But I will start with the cliched question. So, between the two movies, which one do you think like you were more satisfied with, or you were more inclined towards, or you had an idea like this is why I wanted to make cinema. This is the cinema which I wanted to make. Which
Right.
site like this?
So, so the one that Tamil I made was like long back, right? 97, sorry, 2007. So let's leave that because it's too far in the past. So Malaysian, actually, it's a slightly easier script to handle.
Okay.
So 8 a.m. was a little bit more fulfilling because it's more challenging. So is I mean, in the West, we have seen a lot of the conversational films, and they do it really well. Uh, we don't have many of these conversational films because it's so difficult to engage the audience for 2 hours. Because I mean, and we are used to the cuts, right? I mean, these days, especially last 10, 20 years, there are so many cuts in each of it. I mean, even if this conversation, right? So like why your reaction, this reaction, I mean, it has to be fast paced cutting. But let's say if you just have more of single shots where you see people and then just stay on there, it's very tough to sustain the audience's uh, this engagement because it's not easy now anymore to to do these 2 hour films. So that's why I think 8 a.m. is more fulfilling because it's more challenging. And in between, I mean, was creatively involved and did Paga, the Malayalam film. So that was challenging because of the budget and other things as well. But I mean, that was more from a writing and producing point of view. But if it's direction, then yeah, 8 a.m. I would say.
I think even when we were talking earlier, also I could sense that you were very passionate about 8 a.m. Metro modern.
Uh,
And I think both the movies of yours is inspired from books, is it right? Second one,
yeah. I mean, the first one is I mean, true event, and the second one is based on the book.
and that book is in Telugu.
The book is in Telugu, correct?
So how?
That's set in 80s.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I mean, except the main line of a person who comes to the city, uh, and then couple of similarities. It's a completely different take. Just the theme is similar because that's in the 80s, right? I mean, it's you cannot have the same film now, obviously, right? You have to adapt to the current times.
Yeah.
So except the theme, I mean, everything, the content, scenes, and everything is completely new.
But Mallesham, you made as a period film, right? So that would have, like, how difficult was it? You had to go back in time, and you shouldn't miss any setting on that.
Correct. I mean, these days, because even in small towns, to get the houses, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so difficult
Yes, yes.
to get the 90s houses. And then if you look at the streets, even in the villages, you'll see concrete, the CC roads.
Mm.
So you don't get the mud roads. So quite a challenging thing. And going forward, 6 years back at least, I got lucky to get some villages at least. But now it'll be even more difficult going forward to. And then even in villages, if you go and look at it, the electric meters are LED kind of. There will be even in small villages, if you see, there will be LED meter, and then everyone wears jeans even in villages, and everyone has a cell phone. And another thing is the sync sound.
Uh,
So in small villages, the bikes have this air ons, right? So someone is talking suddenly. If
okay.
it were the current times, you can continue the scene because in the city and all there will be like traffic and. But if you set it in 90s and the current bikes have a different this thing, so you have to start all over again. And even in villages, you have this crop these machines, right? So they have a completely different sound. So you got to wait till the harvesting is done, and then quite a few challenges when it comes to. That's why the
Okay.
people put in sets, right? They don't go to the real locations. Now in the set you have a controlled environment, and moreover, people don't use location sound, right? They just make it, and then in the dubbing studios is when they go and do it. So for them, it's quite easy. So I think if you don't use sync sound, the location sound, then it's slightly less difficult than actually using location sound for these reasons.
For both the films, you sync sound, is it?
Yeah.
Is it something personal or any for the originality you wanted to have that?
I mean, see, acting itself to make it believable is a huge challenge, right? I mean, sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't get it right. I mean, as audience, I mean, they'll say, "Oh, it doesn't feel real."
Yeah.
So the definition of what feels real is also difficult, then because a lot of times it's perception, right? Everyone knows obviously it's acting, but still, for some films, people connect, and for some people they don't, right? So there is something in the acting which comes across. But then if you take away the voice quality, right?
Yeah.
So let's say when you're doing the scene, the actors are in the scene and they perform somewhere, and how they shout or get angry or sob, it's so different than what they can do again in a dubbing studio. At least 20 to 30% of the quality, I personally think, goes down. And then you see this the sync issues, and when you're watching it, you sometimes it doesn't sync properly. So it's more work and a little bit more money, but I think it's worth doing it that way if it can be done.
So that means everyone who has acted in your movie knows the language.
They have to.
Okay.
Exactly.
They have to even in future. You're saying.
Correct. Even in future. Doesn't matter which language.
Okay.
So they have to. So in
Okay.
Malayalam, when we made Paka, they have to be Malayalam
So
speakers.
nowadays it is becoming a trend to have other language people in the film, right? And
I mean, see, in the current globalized this thing, I mean, we cannot stop anyone from going anywhere. But it's a personal thing. I think the actor can be from anywhere, but both the filmmakers and the actors and all that, they have to know the language, or else I personally don't think the expression comes out well if you don't know the language. So
true.
let's say it doesn't matter. Let's say if it's a Tamil film, it doesn't matter whether the actor is from Malayalam or Mumbai or someplace. As long as they put the effort to learn the language
Yeah.
and then they do it, I think, or else it's not doing justice to the role. Is what I think,
Correct,
because
correct.
uh, it's tough. It's tough to act without understanding the language.
Even the broken language feels much better than someone else dubbing, right? That feels ingenuine. Like even if someone talks Tamil with Malayalam accent, for example, Mohanlal,
Right.
Iruvar Mohanlal talk for himself. He need not have. We
Correct.
could have used, but still it feels real when the actor does for
Correct.
himself.
They have to put the effort to learn and do it.
Yeah.
And but a lot of these times, I mean, they'll say something without understanding. They just by heart and try to say something where they have not fully understood it, right? So the brain, they're thinking about memorizing it.
Mm.
So now let's say some non native Tamil speaker is speaking it.
Mm.
So they have no clue. I mean, they have some idea of what the line is, but not exactly the words, right? So now they have to memorize it so that the lips say something like that. And then in dubbing, some other artists will do it, right? But the lip, at least something they have to do it, something similar to. So they by heart it. So now when you are acting, your brain is multitasking. One part of the brain is trying to remember the dialogue, and then they say it, and then simultaneously switching to remember and then act. So that's where the problem comes, that you're not doing justice to it. Unlike someone who understands the language and they do it, then you're living in the moment and trying to deliver it. So it's a huge difference. But again, I mean, it's the audiences
I get it.
have
Right.
accepted it.
Great
So
that you were able to achieve something from that, right? That is what I think I was telling you. You made a Tamil film, you made a Telugu film, you made a Hindi film,
uh,
and
Malayalam too.
yeah, Malayalam film, and none of it looked alien. It felt
Correct,
like you were of that culture, right? So
correct.
I'm pretty sure if I'm going to do project something even in any other language other than Tamil, it's going to look different. But you were able to have that like ingenuine feel in all of the movies. I think that was the
Uh,
biggest takeaway from your movies, I believe. Okay, I will maybe have one last question, and I have a string of questions, but I will give chance for others. But before we go, we would first like to know how you got into films. You are working in IT. You are still working in
uh,
IT. You are making films,
uh,
going back to work, and again,
uh.
first of all, how were you able to come out of work and get into films? And after getting into films, how are you able to go back to work? Is it See, generally, at least for us in this, like when there was a boom of short films and all around a decade back, and everyone wanted to make films, and everyone were
Correct.
averse to IT. Like we wanted to escape IT, and we
Correct.
wanted to get into films. But people who were getting into films mostly were hating the work. But
Hmm.
it's great that you are working, making films, and again getting back to work. And your whatever films that you are making, it doesn't look like something like a stopgap arrangement. It looks like proper film, someone who has something to tell, a proper voice, proper cinema. Like how are you able to manage? How did that journey start, and how are you able to manage it?
So any of you guys have attempted films
Short
to
films?
write, or you did?
I did, yeah. Short films I did. Just a camera. That's it.
Some, I mean, that started from your travel blogs, or how did
No,
it
no, no,
start?
no. I was interested in cinema, so anyways, I like conversational films. Before Sunrise is my all-time favorite film, and that's why I wanted to make something. So first thing is budget, right? I had to make with a zero budget, and whoever can hold the camera as a cameraman, whoever can act as the actors. So
Correct.
we had a huge campus in office. I worked in Infosys, Chennai, and the campus was huge, and it was beautiful. So we made it as a single shot because we didn't. None of us knew properly to edit, and it was a pain to render, edit, cut, render again. It was a pain. So at least from my point of view, I wanted to make a film with minimal cuts so that it doesn't have. So that it's not like that's how it started. It's the only thing I made. After that, I didn't do anything. Maybe
Oh,
there are a few others who tried.
that's interesting. So I mean, mine, it started in college. I think in 90s is when I started writing, and but I didn't know whether uh, it made sense or not, the output of it. And it was very unorganized, right? I mean, it's not in the written form. You just think about something and you keep thinking it, everything is forming it, but you're not putting it in the paper, right? That's the biggest problem during that time. You're just visualizing it, but you're not writing it. So then one of my college senior, he went to Tripoli to interview someone about some story. It was like, uh, someone from Punjab, they go to Pakistan and all that stuff. So I thought when he narrated it, it's very interesting. And I thought, oh, this can be made into a film. And then I wrote the screenplay. But I had no clue how to go about it, right? So this was in 95, long back. But then 97, there was this international film festival. Someone gave me a pass and I went there. And then I saw, because it's based on the true event, someone made a film on it.
Okay.
So then I could see that, okay, how I visualized and how I wrote it, and someone actually went and made it on it because it's public domain story. But at least it gave me the confidence that, okay, probably I don't know how to write, but at least the idea was not bad. Whatever I thought, something can be made on it. So something like that happened 2 or 3 more times where I had an idea, I wrote something, and someone else made very similar film. So that was where it started, that okay, I mean, at least the ideas are not that bad because you see something else very similar that coming up. So this happened 3 times, and that's when that was a confidence that I got, like at least the judgment might be right, that at least someone else also thinks that idea is worth doing it. Because I mean, the whole thing about the film starts with just that one line, right? The log line. If that is interesting, the screenplay might come out well, or it might not. You have no control. But if that idea, that one line is not good, there is no way the screenplay will come out well. There is no way. So at least now you know that the idea was not that bad. At least you passed the first test. And how you wrote it to screenplay, whether it worked or not, at least that's the second step, but at least you got the first step right, right? So that's the key thing. The log lines that you are thinking and someone else is thinking, if it's successful, then at least you pass the first step. So that I thought, that gave the confidence. And that's when I said, okay, let's try it. And then I mean, uh, the problem is when I made the Tamil film, the reviews were good, but it was like a bitter experience, right? And then I'm like, because of the financial risk, I said, no, I'm not making a film again. So then it set me back like 3-4 years. So I had to pay back all the loans and all that. But when I watched the TEDx talk of Mallesham, then I thought, okay, there is this guy who passed the 6th grade, 7th grade. He tried numerous times, and for 6-7 years. Yeah, I tried once. I mean, and it would have been easier for me to give up if the reviews were bad. The problem was the reviews were good. Then I'm like, okay, the business side of things, I don't know. I still don't know. That's a different story. But at least the writing was fine, and it was like not bad, right? You look at the quality. So that's what thought, okay, if this guy can try so many times, maybe I should give it another shot. So that was the inspiration, but that took me a long time to come out of the previous bitterness. And then, I mean, time heals too, right? I mean, you come out of it and say, okay, let's give it a shot. So that's when the second one happened. And then the Malayalam film, we wrote and did it. And then the Hindi film recently, and hopefully the next one. And until you make it, it's impossible. I mean, the next film, I mean, the challenges are crazy. I mean, you don't get an actor and something happens with their dates. I mean, small films, I mean, there are huge challenges. And then the locations you go, then cinematographers say, no, I don't like the locations. You got to try again. I mean, so that's why until the film is shot, indie films, you cannot say that, okay, you're making a film, right? Because so many things can go wrong, so many things a project can stop. So you have to have some element of luck as well to do it.
True, true.
And the balancing part, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I've been doing, do for some time, then go back, then work again, then lose that money in the next film. So that's how it's 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 the
I,
journey has been
yeah,
so
yeah,
far.
yes. Simply telling it, but it's not as simple as this, I believe, right? Fine, yeah, I think I took a good one-third of the session time. If you guys have questions, you can shoot. Like maybe Vijay, you can go ahead.
Hi Raj.
Hello.
So for the first thing that is struck, like when I watched 8 a.m. Metro, like I saw Ismail Bhai from so like he was a like I mean this is just off topic. Like he was the like did you choose him as the cast, or like how did it go
I
casting him?
mean, for indie filmmakers, most of the times, you stick to the cast and crew that help you in the previous films, unless because of the money you cannot afford them, or they have become very famous, you cannot afford them. You stick to the previous cast and crew you help. And the Ismail Bhai had a role in Mallesham too.
Who
Okay.
was it?
So if you have watched Angrez, right, the Hyderabadi Hindi
Correct.
film, that's a comedy movies, which is kind of a yeah, trending thing. So there he is the main character. So yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
So I had him in Mallesham. So then the rapport is already built.
Okay.
So then I when we write, we say, oh, we have this actor, and you have a good rapport with them. So
Nice.
I mean, you cannot say 100% because things will change, right? They were busy, or their fee would have increased so much that you cannot afford them now.
Okay. Okay.
So, so, but some actors, that they're not that busy, right? And you already have a rapport with them. So it becomes, for them also, there is a level of comfort, right? Oh, yeah, this guy, and he was nice to us, so we'll help him out again. So it's a two-way street. And Mallesham, because it was a nice relationship, and he did not have any work then, so he was looking for work. Then I approached him. It worked out. So the next time I say, hey, let's do it. And then there is not much of it's a smooth transition, right? Unless things can change. For example, Darshi has become from Malaysia like very famous now. And both
Yeah, he's
in
a
terms
great comedy actor, right? Yeah.
both terms of money and dates. So
Yeah.
next he has like 5, 6 films signed up. And same thing with the actress. So for this next film, so first as Darshi, so he said he'll bring the producer if he comes, but his dates are not available. So again, I had to start the process of finding a new actor now. And then for the actress too, she's busy with the days. So now I have to find another actress now through audition. So that's the challenge. Those are the challenges of the indie. So it's not that they don't want to work, but again, things might change because now their market rate is so high that you cannot afford them. But when you can afford them, like Ismail Bhai, then it's easier because you know them, they know you, and their rates have not changed much, or the dates are not, they have the dates, they're not busy. So it becomes easier. And
Nice.
there is some sign of gratitude too, right? Oh, yeah, them, let's first approach them. If they don't fit the role or if they're not available, then you go for someone else.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. One more thing. So when you explained about your how you are balancing your IT work and filmmaking, that is very fascinating actually. Even I'm trying to do it. I mean, I'm just a cinephile, but who wants to get into films. But I'm trying to figure out how to do that, and yeah, the things. That's great. And how you are how do you manage to get the networking? Like, I think, like, how did you get to connect with some person like Anurag Kashyap or Nitin
All,
Lukos and other?
all, all fluke though. It's all fluke, especially for people like me, who are introverts. It becomes quite a challenge to network, right? The first question, like, let's say you want to switch to filmmaking and all that. My suggestion would be it doesn't have to be direction to start with, right? It can be acting roles too. That's a very easy way to, it serves you two purposes. One is once you get into acting, you can be a better director. Second, you will be able to network with so many people and learn the filmmaking process by not investing much money because you're on the sets with someone else, you're doing something else. You're not putting any money, but you're learning on the sets. And even if it's a small role, you can still balance your work and go. It doesn't matter what role. You just go audition and then let's say here and there if you find it. And it's a good way to network too. And let's say if someone is an introvert and all, it becomes easy for them to network. So that's one. I can't do it now, but if there is a possibility, I would have done that. And the other question, the networking for a person like me who has no connections in the industry, and especially being an introvert, because you have to go and meet people, right? Other film parties and all that. So I had zero connections. So after I made Mallesham, I know that to make another film, it'll take me 1-2 years to make it. So then a lot of the crew wanted to make films, right? Their own films. They're like, oh, you made yours, so we want to make too. So then my editor, acting coach, and these people, they did that. And Nitin Lukos was the sound designer for Mallesham.
Okay.
So when we were mixing in Bangalore for 5.1, then he said, Raj, I have a script. I said, no, I'm not a producer. I did mine because no one else is producing it. And that's the least interesting activity for me. And that's the least boring activity, especially if you're not savvy with business or with smart with money. And that's a time consuming job, right?
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm not interested. But then I thought, okay, I'll make one for the crew just as a gesture of gratitude. They helped me do it, so I'll do. So out of the 4 that came from the crew, his was well researched. And Nitin, as part of sound designing, he had this in mind. So he would, when he goes to this on set to record some film or something, he'll build a nice rapport with the actors. So he knew them as friends, right? Here and there they meet it. Oh, you are looking for the role and all that stuff. Then because he's from the Film Institute, he had this roommate as music director and all those other friend as cinematographer and all that stuff. So he put together a plan which was very low budget and then very well planned. And he had everything figured out from storyboarding to music to everything. And then it was in his hometown, Wayanad district. And the background was river and all those things, but everything he had in his backyard. So then I thought, okay, out of all this film, that made more sense. So we did that. Then we sent that film that was aimed for festivals and Busan and Tokyo, and they rejected it. And then we came to, someone suggested, oh, this movie, Anurag might like it. So when we sent it, so he said, oh, yeah, you can use my name as executive producer, or whatever, doesn't matter. And then I'll pitch it to Toronto. And because of his connection, that Malayalam film Paka, which I produced it and Nitin directed it, that was Nitin's debut direction. And then that went to Toronto because of Anurag Kashyap. And we added his name as a producer too, along with me. And that gave some press because 2 films got selected to Toronto that year. And then Sony Live bought it. And then whatever the money it made, I mean, I gave it to Nitin so that he can, because he spent 2 years of his thing. So that was the journey how we connected with Anurag Kashyap. And when I wanted to make it, I said, hey, I tried 6 months and a year almost in Telugu to get actors. And Siddharth, the Tamil actor Siddharth, right? So he said he's interested and he'll produce it and direct it. But then he made another Telugu film that flopped. And after that, he said he needs some time to rethink about this current slate of films. So that's when I thought, okay, that's not going anywhere. So I thought, okay, let me approach Anurag. And Anurag gave Gulshan and Sayami. And when we started, they were known but not that known, because Goomer came after they signed, and then on Gulshan's all these web series and these films and all came after that. So they were really known actors, but not as famous. I mean, even now they're not stars, but they're more famous than when we started. So then they liked the script, then they came. So that's the connection from the Malayalam film. Nitin was a sound designer and I produced this film. Then Anurag Kashyap too. So it was just a fluke, this thing.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, I have a few other questions, but I will let
Maybe we'll
others
give chance to
also.
others.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ashok, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, hi Raj. First of all,
Hi.
thanks for making the time.
Oh, thanks.
So I have one question. So when you are new to industry and when you are transitioning from IT world to the industry, how was it like? Like, how did you manage learning things? How was your learning curve? Because as a new person, you have a lot to learn, right? So
Yeah.
how did you pull it off? what was your thought and what's your suggestion if somebody is trying to, you know, move to a industry? So, any thoughts on that? Your perceptions?
I mean, unless you assist someone or be a part of the film, 99% chances that if you go and make a film, it will not work.
Yeah.
99%
Yes.
chances.
Yes.
So though my first Tamil film, it was financially it set me back. It was a disaster and all that stuff. But one good thing happened with that film was the director was Jairaj sir, the Malayalam award-winning film director. So so because I wrote it and I was was the main producer for the film, and then I saw how Jairaj sir was directing the film. So that became kind of learning experience for me. So still, I felt it like it was a huge challenge because the whole crew of Mallesham was new. See, the other way to do it is you are new, but you get a lot of the experienced people. But the
Mm.
problem with that also is if the experienced people are not supportive, then they will take you for granted and you are not steering it. They will steer it, and the product might not be what you want. So that's a challenge if you bring more talented people than you. But the good part is they know what they are doing. So in the whole team, everyone is new. That's a huge risk. But again, once in a while, that can create like a new kind of experimental this thing, which can sometimes work out. But my main thing was the confidence was from what I learned, what I saw. I mean, it didn't teach me or anything, but you see the person in action, right? So how he's handling a scene, how he's shooting it, how he's behaving with the actors, how is he guiding the actors to get into the role. So those things that helped me make the film, though I mean still it was quite challenging,
Mhm.
uh, but that was the process, sure.
Got it, got it. And one more question might be a silly one. I was just wondering how you are managing your professional life and also when I say professional life, the work that you handle in IT industry and also the movies. I was just curious to understand, like, are you totally quitting for some years and making movies and coming back to industry,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
how
that's what
exactly?
I'm doing. I mean, taking a lot of time to save a bit again to make a small film and
Uh-huh.
then lose the money, then again work, and that's how it's been like last 20 years almost.
Got it.
Not 20, but at least 2006, 7 is, yeah, I mean, yeah, close to 8 years. Yeah.
That's a kind of switching of your logical thinking and activating your creative thinking, right? So it
Yes.
must be a little tough, but yeah, that's a good thing to do too.
Yeah.
Great.
But the good part is, I mean, once you go back to work, you
uh,
have free time to write also now, right? So
yes.
uh, you can take 6 months, 1 year, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and write.
True.
And that's why I said like the easiest thing again to learn is to become an actor.
Yep. Yep.
And it doesn't have to be big roles, right? It can be a very small role, like friend's friend or something to start with. But
Mm-hmm.
let's say you go on a set, I mean, there is so much to learn, right? Like how they are composing a shot, how they are blocking it. I mean, of course, everything is available on YouTube, film courses and all, but
True.
nothing like seeing it live, right? So that's the least expensive way to learn.
Agree, Raj. Cool. Yeah.
Thanks, Ashok.
Yeah.
Giving the chance for others. Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Arjun.
Raj, thanks for your
Okay.
time.
Oh, thank you.
Uh, I watched Mallesham. So the movie was so neat and it was kind of warm and pleasure. Even for a movie that talks about the struggle of a man, this is full of positivity. So that is one thing I liked it so much about the movie. And one thing I noticed and I was so impressed is that the heroine character.
Right,
So usually, whenever they say there is the main lead is struggling, the movie about the struggle, what they face, they show the heroine like being supportive, doing over the top or something. But
right,
here, the Padma character,
right,
she is there and she is genuine and
right,
she is happy, positive. So it's like even seeing her on the screen gives a positive feel.
right.
So my question is that is the female characters especially Is it based on your imagination, or is it a real life inspiration from the people you see?
I mean, all the four. Okay, of course, the Paka also. They had a lot of elements from Nitin's life, and I added a few things to it. But taking that out, all the three will have some personal collection, but not maybe directly, but someone else's thing and slightly exaggerated one. So at least the way that my writing is, I mean, it has someone's life, something in mine, someone's X, Y, Z, but probably exaggerated, but everything stems from some real character.
Yeah, okay. Because it never felt exaggerated at all. Even there is a scene where she just has a curry leaves and show that to the baby. So she's just making the toys out of the things she has. She never
Uh,
demands, or so it's like even the small thing about her, it was so positive. So, and one more thing, you were talking about the period films, how it is difficult to make it. Even in this movie, I noticed that the difference between the urban and rural setup. So when he travels to the city, it
Correct.
was differentiated. Like the next scene, when I can see it is in some city, that was so good. So
That,
that's why the movie was
here
relatable.
the intention was that there is an old city and there is a newer city, right? Like any other city, right? So these two people, one is suffering from panic attacks, anxiety. One is suffering from depression. They are similar, but still quite different. They are the other sides of the spectrum, other ends of the spectrum, but they're still part of the spectrum again. So that's how I thought of the two cities. Is there's an old city which has its own this thing, and then there's a new city, like two people. There are similarities, but still they are so different. So that was the whole point of the two cities, and then the train which connects both the people, both the cities. That was the idea.
Yeah, that was really great. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thanks. Arti.
Yeah, actually, she was amazing. Mallesham actress Ananya, right? Yeah,
Huh,
it didn't feel like she was doing some role at all. It felt like she was very real. Even her smile throughout, it felt like she was living it. Everyone were praising Priyadarshi, obviously, and
right.
but she was someone who was overlooked. I believe she was amazing throughout the movie.
Even the way she says Baba, it is
Uh,
oozing out the love in that. Even that just word.
That's true. That's true. Especially for the first time actress, it's a huge role, right? So I think she.
who likes to go next? Raja, you wanna?
No,
So
all
we'll
good.
talk about any of your guys from a filmmaking point of view. Anything I mean, is that you guys want to ask for any of your projects or something that
We are
uh,
actually from an IT background. There's only one person who's actually into films in this group now. Maybe she'll ask something after this. But we are more like film enthusiasts who want to go into films, or maybe stop thinking about it after some time and became only film watchers, I believe.
I mean, what I personally feel is for the new people, there are two ways of writing, right? One is there is an existing similar subject and you show it in a completely different way, or the subject itself is completely new. I mean, not it cannot be completely new, but to whatever extent, right? So, so for example, in Malaysia, because you don't have the background, because in Telugu, that part of the region where this was made, not many films have come with that dialect and that culture and that part of it. So that was the uniqueness in the film actually. So that's what the local people liked it, because no one explored that dialect in this thing. So there is something new about it. And the second unique part in Telugu was, till then all the biopics were made on the popular people. And this was the one in Telugu which was made on not popular film. So there has to be some kind of a differentiators of why you have to do it. And second, 8 a.m. I mean, there were one or two films in the recent 5 years or something. Dear Zindagi and all, they delve a little bit into it, but not from a common man point of view, right? Like which can happen to anyone. So then I thought, okay, there is some market to it because no one has explored it in this detail. About like for regular people can have and and it's not that even for regular people, even if they're some of us are, let's say, we are not hit by it, but it can hit anytime. I mean, there is no, I mean, it can hit any person on any time. So then I thought, okay, let's make it completely on that subject, where few filmmakers have tried in the last 5-10 years, but not many in this depth is what I think. I mean, so there is some kind of a uniqueness, right? So the next film too in Telugu, there is some kind of a differentiator. After that, it might work, it might not work, but at least if that's there, there is a chance that it can be different from other films. And then the writing process, I mean, with all these four ones, what I have learned is the idea first has to be unique, the log line has to be interesting, but after that, the first drafts will never be good, but still somehow you have to write the first draft because now you'll think about how to write it in your mind and all that. That's good. I mean, you need some kind of a visualization and imagination, but somehow you have to take that time to put it on paper, how much ever rudimentary or very rough draft it is. But then if you keep rewriting it little by little, scene by scene, within 6 months or something, it will turn out to be at least in a decent one. I mean, after the film, it might work, it might not work, but people will not say, oh, it's horrible or something.
Okay.
So rewriting is the key if any of you guys are planning to write.
And actually, I wanted to check with you about like we see did when you told that you were inspired of Mallesham and you had made the films, right?
Correct.
For me, I recently watched 12th film. Okay, it reminded very much of Mallesham. Did anyone tell you that 12th film reminded you them of Mallesham, or how did you feel? I think you might have.
The similarities between 8 a.m. and Mallesham?
No, 12th film.
12th fail. Yeah, 12th fail. See, 12th fail was one. And even the Surarai or that flight thing,
Yeah.
Surya's thing,
I
right?
didn't want to take the topic because we talked a lot about that film earlier.
I think the wife and husband part,
Correct.
I thought like there were similarities compared to Mallesham, like wife and husband, how they struggle. And
Even
12th
I felt
fail,
the same. Like Surai Potru, it was reminding lot of Surai Potru, but that is a totally different way.
just the wife and husband chemistry and few similarities I felt. But 12th fail, when I watched it, I mean, 12th fail is perfect in everything, right? Casting, if you look at it, the guy was perfect. And from the beginning to till the end, I mean, it was very engaging, right? Of course, I mean, we cannot compare. It's so much better in terms of everything. But the basic theme of a ordinary guy. So it starts with generally, oh, he was very brilliant, he cracked IAS or something, right? But this guy has already failed and then he achieves it. I thought the theme and journey were very similar. That's that when I watched it, I was well, but
I was like because I thought I it was while watching 12th fail, I was constantly getting reminded. Even the actors, right? Even Vikrant Messi as well as the Priyadarshi, I think their tone, the way they approach life or everything, it felt
I
simple.
think they look vulnerable. Like if you say like they are trying something, they are failing. You being an audience, you try to protect the cast. Like the way they look, I think they look vulnerable.
yeah.
I think they feel like real people.
I
Right?
mean,
Yeah.
That's one of the things. They don't look like actors or someone different. And I have not watched much films of Priyadarshi, so for us it's okay. Maybe for people who have watched Telugu films and seen him day in and day out, it would have been a drastic difference.
I
See,
mean, Malaysia was the first film where he was the lead
Priyadarshi.
character, right? Before that, He was like more of a comedian and hero sidekick kind of thing.
And he was great even in that. I have watched Pelli Chopla and his style and
He was
was amazing.
he was good at it. But again, that was a huge risk to cast Darshi, because till that time, no comedian in Telugu, uh, no one casted them in a serious role. See, there are a lot of films in Telugu where comedians were the main protagonists, but they were still comic characters. They were not like they didn't try the serious roles. They were still funny and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
No,
again,
generally
it's a huge risk.
when comedians are act as heroes, there will be that tone. But he was able to like completely remove that, and he could be as a proper serious hero. I believe in this one, right? That was brilliant, and I think you were able to get it from him also. I believe he believed totally in you, and I think that's why it became.
We got lucky, I would say. Yeah.
Is anyone else?
Yeah.
Hi, Abhishek.
Hi, I'm Abhishekta. So
Okay.
I'm working as editor and I'm slowly trying out to write. So I have got two questions. One is regarding writing. So the order of the films you made, is that the order you have written your scripts, or you have thought like, okay, maybe this will take a little more budget and right now I don't know people, so I'll write something simpler. Was there any time that you have made decisions as such, or it was just like intuitively you wrote and then you went in a linear copy?
I think if you're producing it, automatically, I think in your brain, you'll think that way, that you'll knowingly or unknowingly, you'll write it in a cost conscious way where you can execute things. So I think it was partly intentional and partly somewhere written that no, we have to write it that way. And for first time filmmakers, it makes sense also, right? Where if you have so many locations, so many actors, so many these things, tough to pull it off for your first screenplay, and to execute also, both in terms of writing and this one. Fewer characters, fewer locations, it's easier to execute it. So knowingly or unknowingly, I think that part will be there.
So the second question is, so when now you have the script and you wanted to direct, so how did you approach, like, not knowing anyone? I heard you, like you said, it's a group, but I want to understand like how it was the initial stages that you didn't know anyone. So what was your idea of like getting contact of a producer, and you just thought you'll go and pitch? I mean, finding people who would produce similar films, obviously, but how difficult was it to make them understand that this is a vision and it would work?
No, I could never make them understand. So that's why I always try, and I don't get a producer. Then I raise the funds and do it. That's how it's been. Even for the next film, I tried for the last 6 months, and then I couldn't get a producer now for the next one. So now again I started raising the funds and doing it. So I couldn't convince anyone to make any film. So I failed on that aspect. But yeah, it's so
And when you say you couldn't convince, was it because they don't understand the subject itself that they couldn't connect, or it is a business point of view that they would say it would not work?
business point of view that this will not work is, and partially they're right though, because these films, they don't make much money. So they are correct actually about their assessment from a business point of view, and that's the main reason.
And I like the fact, like what you mentioned, that there were not biopics about not so popular, but who are very socially relevant people.
Yeah.
That's a very great thing that I admired at that time. Oh, that's something new. Like you said, it was definitely a differentiating factor for us to look at it. Oh, okay, this is something else from what we usually see. And yeah, it was very beautiful film.
Thank you, Abhishek. Ashok, you wanted to ask?
Yeah. Raj, yeah, this is regarding the script now. So when you have multiple thoughts, and I guess you might be developing multiple scripts too, how do you take feedback from others? Let's say you develop a script, then you narrate to your colleagues or maybe friends or people, somebody from industry, right? Not with respect to the producer or maybe funding and all, just to take the feedback. Everybody does that, right? But sometimes not everybody will have the same perception like you. So how do you judge a script? Let's say, let me put it in this way. Let's say you have two different scripts, and one of the script is very much close to your heart, but don't get much appreciation from your closed ones or maybe from your colleagues. But the other one is uh, not so interesting for you, but that looks so fascinating for most of the people. So in generally, like, how do you decide? Okay,
So this
this
is
can work or something like that. Because I
this
feel
is
this is the
a
one of the challenge that most of the script writers will have. So.
this is a brilliant question actually. The
Mhm.
best I would say is you. I mean, some people will be prolific, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they can write it and it's excellent and all that. But I don't think the percentage will be more than 10 to 20%. For
Mm-hmm.
80%, the idea is good. You start something,
Mm-hmm.
then you keep on improving it till it becomes decent. That's the formula that will work for 80% of the people. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep on doing it
Got
and getting the feedback. That's why what I do is I write in English.
it.
And
Mm-hmm.
in US,
Mm-hmm.
luckily for not a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
you can get the feedback from professional readers.
Okay. Okay.
So for $100, but if you keep on doing a lot of times, maybe it might get expensive. But otherwise, online there are a lot of these script services like V Screenplay, for example, $80.
Mm-hmm.
But the good part is you have to write it in a way where a Western audience, like Western reader, will understand.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the stories are universal. They are smart enough because they'll visualize. Let's say you write about a small village in Tamil Nadu and you write it descriptively well. They can go there, right? End of the day,
Mm-hmm.
someone is struggling,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and when you write, every scene has to be about conflict.
Got it.
Something that guy is not getting it,
Got
and you're making it difficult for him. There's some
it.
drama, right? Some drama in every scene. It has to be there. And immediately it might not strike you. And then you write some draft and you keep on
Mm-hmm.
looking for this thing and keep on refining it. And
Mm-hmm.
when you send it to these guys, they'll give you a nice report about what
Mm-hmm.
worked in this one, what did not work. And that is more objective because he might be wrong. But generally these professional screenplay writers, readers
Mm-hmm.
have the knack of
Mm-hmm.
reading it because that is their job to do it.
Makes sense.
It's like
Makes sense.
our QA people, right?
Uh-huh.
They're
Uh-huh.
trained to look for bugs. They're
Yes.
trained to look for it. And these guys also will say, hey, I can't connect to the characters. Or till here it was good. But after here, no, I'm not. Some and then maybe these are the solutions. So it will keep
Mm-hmm.
on, they'll do that. Right. And
Yep.
now you you use them, but
Uh-huh.
again you have the judgment, right? You can't listen to a million people and then uh, let take an idea when you are not convinced.
Got it. Got
But
it.
you have to read it like 2 3 times their thing, because now you are married to your script so much that everything is good and someone tells you immediately, your brain will not allow
Mm.
you to think that maybe the criticism is valid or something. So you got to distance yourself from the script and read it as if from an audience point of view, what this reader is telling you.
Got it. Got it.
Then you refine it a bit. Then if
Mm-hmm.
you have money, then once it's come to a decent state, then you do that again. Then when it's at a reasonable state where you will see that they're saying, oh, this is very interesting, I liked it. And some mistakes, some
Mm-hmm.
positive. So
Mm-hmm.
the more positive that you're coming, that's a sign that now yours is getting better. And
Mm-hmm.
now you send it to friends, relatives, and all that stuff because, but they might give you some brilliant ideas, they might not. But
Mm-hmm.
you take everything, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to learn to be objective about it when you're reading it. You're like, someone else has written it, someone else is telling something about it. You as an audience are looking at whether it makes sense or not. Then you keep fine tuning it.
Mm-hmm.
But a mix of friends, relatives, but definitely the professional readers like we screenplay. That's the best way to get it right.
Got it.
Not 100% right, but we keep doing it for 6 months or a year, I think uh, at least it will be decent. I mean, if not great
Got
script, it will
it.
be a decent script. It will not be a sloppy script with
Got
like
it.
so many loopholes and all that. See, end of the day, whatever you write, whatever you make, some people will not like it, right?
True, true.
That's bound to happen. But at least it should not be. It should be a reasonable shape
Got it.
or form, and you'll get that if you follow this technique.
Makes sense. And one follow-up question, Raj. When do you know my script is ready for a film? Like you mentioned, right? You spent 6 years, 6 months, or 1 year like that. So let's say I've been working on my script and I have made a lot of changes and I update it multiple times, maybe 6 times or 7 times based on the feedbacks that I get. So when do I mean? I frankly am not getting any such kind of trust. Okay, my script is ready for the film or something like that. So when do you generally consider, okay, my film is, I mean, my script is ready, so I can start making my film or something like that?
The professional readers' comments is generally the yardstick for me to say
Makes sense.
it's in a decent shape.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. Thanks, Raj. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for answering.
Vijay, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah. So Raj, like, I want to know how is the difference when you pitch a script to a producer of some kind of a studio who has a studio, and to a OTT platform. So how are these? What is there any difference? Or I have seen people saying like even the OTT platform is becoming so much commercial and all that. So what is your thought on that?
See, the problem is you have to have some way to reach them properly because they are bombarded with scripts. But now, who has time to read the scripts is the point. So it's difficult for them to read it also when they're getting thousands and thousands of scripts. How do they even read it and come to a judgment? Right? So OTT space is very challenging. But unless you have some network, right? So someone says, oh, this guy comes with a brilliant script, and so you please look at it. So some connections have to be there, or else it's very difficult. But the small producers and all, it's at least you can go to their office and say, okay, this is the film that I have and all that stuff. But those guys also, it will take long time to materialize because first of all, whether he gets impressed or not, we don't know. Even if he does, they will not say no. Yeah, yeah, we'll see. But when it will, they will see. When how many months it will take. It's a painfully long process. But I don't see any other way though, unless again you go crowdfunding and those kind of things, and then you manage on your own. It's a painful process currently.
Uh,
That's
And
why,
how is
and for me also, as I said, I mean, I failed to do that. I tried OTTs, I tried these guys, and finally I'm like, okay, it's not working out. Let me raise money and do it. But you have to try. It will work, but if the script is exceptionally well, it will reach some guy. But it will take time though.
okay. And how is the environment for the Telugu film industry? Like how do they look at that film industry? If basically for the outsider, like I'm from Karnataka, so what I saw before is like it is mostly commercial, right? Telugu is very commercial, but recently we have seen like Care of Kancharapalam and Mallesham and all that. So how are they looking towards this film industry when you
Uh,
come up with this?
Now in Telugu, small films are like completely different kind of films. They're performing well recently.
Yeah, yeah.
It has a huge potential now compared to
Yes.
other industries. Small films are doing well.
Okay.
There is a potential though, if the it's unique and all that. Some producers are listening to the scripts.
So they're looking for variety of
Hmm.
scripts. Got okay.
Thanks, Vijay. I think Raja, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, yeah. Hi, sir. Thanks for coming here. And you are being so honest and very nice. You are already admired as, especially, I don't know. I might also take a break. I was not having a courage to do that. But after after listening to it, maybe I can also take a break. So especially I
No,
want to
without taking break also,
no,
you
when I am
can,
ready,
you guys can act,
especially.
you can be a assistant writer somewhere or assistant director or something. I think that's the best way to do without taking a break, like evenings, nights, some kind of a film connection, and being an assistant, even if they don't pay you much, is the safest way to enter, is what I personally think. If I were you, that's what I would have done.
Okay, sir. Nice.
Sorry,
Thank you.
yeah, please tell.
Yeah, my question was something related to the budget, sir. How you come up with the budget, especially if you're taking a biopic? What would be the budget range you would fix,
I
and
mean,
how you?
as I said, I mean, when you're doing as an indie film, consciously or unconsciously, you write everything according to a budget already.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so automatically the script you have to do for the first one is fewer locations, fewer characters, and practical,
Okay.
right? Which is easier to make. So
Mm.
producer also, as I said, I mean, I'm not a producer. Just for gratitude, I wanted to make one. Out of the four, I selected Nitin's one just because everything was in his village. And it had a river in it, it had mountains, everything, whatever was needed for the script, it's already in his village. So all his
Okay.
friends and all were actors, relatives, and that kind of thing. So I know production will be easier. And
Mm.
the characters are few. So if you say like 40, 50 main characters, it's difficult, right? 3, 4 main characters, it's easier. Yeah, of course, few other small characters too, but 4, 5 main characters, easier to execute. So you will automatically write it like that. So the
Okay.
budget is like whatever the least possible one.
Okay.
The writing
Because
have to come up with a way to make it the least possible way.
all right, sir. Okay. Because that would mainly that is the main thing that is not making many people to step into this industry, even though they have some good stories or skills. That is
Right.
the main thing that is not allowing us to get into this. So I heard some stories like a few people say that just invest on the first movie and you will get a good contact, even though you are losing something, and then in the next movie you can gain, or in the upcoming movies at least you can gain what you lost, and you can increase the budget, because always you have multiple stories, but you don't have the budget, so you come up with a story that is just showing your 60
Right.
percentage of skill.
Makes sense. Makes sense is what I think. That's practical to start with
Okay.
the least budget one, so that at least
uh,
it will get paid, right? And then when you have proved yourself, then you
hmm.
can make the bigger budget one. That's the best way to do.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Good knowing
So
everything from you.
I I know we scheduled for a longer time because it was scheduled so long back. I had no clue how this day would be. So I had the writers waiting too. Uh, but because this commitment I made like so long back, so I did not want to cancel it at all and at least start. But if given a chance, I mean, we'll wind up soon, just so that I'll just resume the writing part with these guys. But
Yeah,
I mean, if you guys are interested, we can in a month or two, once I'm done with this film, we can catch up in a second one too.
sure, sure, sure. Yeah, we will just leave you. I think if there's any guys, anyone want to ask anything specific, or maybe we can wrap up the session in next 5 minutes.
And any of the filmmaking advice, I mean, you have my email ID as well, or phone, you have it.
Yeah.
So you can consolidate the questions for, I mean, any kind of filmmaking advice, right? So whatever 2 cents I know, I'll always pass on. But the
I think
best way to
you have
for
wooed
you
us
guys,
with our honesty.
Yeah.
but the
You have
best
wooed
way
us with our honesty, I believe.
but the best way to do is you start with the log lines is the best way, right? Something, 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 something. In 1 or 2 lines, everyone comes with it. Someone's line is good. Then working on that is the best way. Instead of writing the whole thing and then say, oh, this is not working. I think the line is the most important part.
Good. Yeah. Okay, Raj. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. And
Sorry for cutting short the thing,
no
but
problem.
it's so nice talking to you guys, and we'll we'll talk again in
That's
detail.
right. It felt like a master class actually. Like we were so keen to listen to you, and you were also patiently answering. There were a couple of great questions as well, like something which that wouldn't come across the mind. The answers were in fact even more greater. So thanks a lot, Raj, for joining. Maybe we'll as you said we'll join for another
Definitely have
session,
fun.
and we wish the third film comes soon. You'd like to watch that.
Hopefully this gets made. Let's see.
Yeah,
Uh,
it will get made.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
guys.
so much, Raj. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Raj.
Thanks, guys. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Anything else? Any personal opinion you want to say about the movie? We can. We have some 20 minutes left. I think like most of you watched only one movie, or anyone watched both the movies?
I only watched Mallesham. Yeah.
I watched only Mallesham.
I only watched the 8 a.m. at work.
Who's that? Arun.
Arun.
Okay, Arun. How did you?
8 Metro was in Hindi, is it? Like,
Yeah.
I was
That's what.
watching Telugu. Suddenly, when I see Hindi, I'm like, is it dubbed version? But the lip sync was perfect.
It was in Hindi, and I was surprised to see that how he could make both the films so in general. Actually, that was my next question, but because the drive it was going towards that, I thought I was asked last, but he told that he was busy. Like last few weeks, he told that he's only staying for like sleeping only for 2 3 hours. So that's why I too didn't want to disturb him much. But like when I watch 8 a.m. Metro. Similar, Mallesham felt very honest, right, for us. Like it felt like a true story, which it would have happened because he was part of that background, but looks like he was not. Still, it was great. But so only after watching 8 a.m. Metro, I understood that his filmmaking itself is honest. I think for the last few sessions, this is what we have been discussing: how honest films are. And 8 a.m. Metro was in fact terrific. Like he gave a silent ode to book lovers. There's a lot of poetry. I think Gulzar wrote most of it. It was amazing, and actors were too good.
Yeah,
I
and
couldn't.
lots of stories. Like I think we might have seen or heard somewhere. Like these are the good stuff like that. Like reference of lots of good poetry stuff.
Unfortunately, I don't think any of us know Hindi properly to appreciate it, but it was great. It felt great when watching, and that's why like I could get totally involved, even without the twist. There's a twist, right? Even without the twist, the film was still great. I think you guys would like it.
Yeah, that was actually very predictable, no? But it was like good to see that like how unwind it. It was like very amazing that finally when he like talks about everything, it was like really cool. And like the takeaway of the drama part into a like a routine thing and changing like a way into a way of living is like really brilliant. Totally loved it.
There's
Enjoyed it.
one point which Aarti mentioned, like I think she told like how the characters were so optimistic. I think he as a person himself he seems like
Yeah,
Yeah,
I felt it. Yeah.
yeah, he was like a super senior, like helping everyone and uh, like creating like juniors and helping. It was like really cool
He's
seeing
so
him talk.
open, like so
Yeah.
easy to approachable, and I felt he's easy that way, right?
Mm.
nice to know. You
Yeah.
guys want to discuss anything, or we can wrap up in.
Yeah, I have one quick
Yes.
request. Can you guys
Ashok, you first of all, you got to know about this through which medium?
Hey, I don't know about this group and everything. My friend shared the link with me, so I
Okay.
got excited and joined. So that's the reason I was asking you to add me to the group. By any chance, are you guys from Infosys? By any
Yes.
chance?
Yes.
So I mean, I worked at Infosys during my initial career. So maybe because of that, I got this link. Some of my Infosys friends shared this.
Yeah.
So please do share anything if
Yeah,
you have.
we'll add you to the WhatsApp group and you'll get updates.
Sure,
And we
sure.
do have Insta page and Facebook page. You can follow
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your question was great. Like if I could point out a couple of great questions, one was Vijay's OTT thing, which I totally forgot. Even I tried to note down hints. I personally wanted to ask that OTT thing, but totally forgot. And your question about how to go about writing was something which was thought provoking. Thanks for that.
Got it. And do you guys know his Insta ID or something? Because I was trying.
He's not there in social media. I'll share you his like he's open to even being contactable, right? I'll share you his email ID.
Sure. Great. That would be great.
Actually, in Malaysian, even there were comedy that was good.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
in
yeah.
small part, even the drunk person who comes and say, "How are you
Right.
selling this? How are you going to?" So,
I thought one of you would ask that question. I had written it down. That one and
yeah,
honestly the two questions which I had written it down to ask.
yeah. So that is one thing, and there is a part where both of these guys will be fighting. Who is beautiful, Padma or Vani? The other guy will say, "You took my money. You went to the movie. You're asking me who is beautiful." So the comedies were working.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, that was
And
good.
see the beauty of the thing is it's the actor, the lead actor is a comedy actor, but he doesn't do anything, he just observes. But even just through observing it will be so much fun.
Yeah,
While getting down from auto there'll be one guy who would not be paying because the meter is
yeah,
up. Expression itself would like totally get to that scene. Similar
yeah.
thing of that drunkard scene. And as you have not watched 8 a.m. Metro, there's an amazing scene in the train about the a scrum master will shout.
Scrum Master, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is in the same vein. So people who have watched both the films would not like it. It comes spontaneously, just out of the blue, and it's very
Yeah, it was not what to say. They didn't
yes,
add it for the purpose, for the sake of it. It just came naturally, and that is needed the fresh air kind of thing in the movie. And one more thing is like in the climax, so when the machine works and everything, after that, the next shot, I want to see him win or something because we have seen the struggles all along. So I was waiting to show he have a big house or they have become so something like that. But the next shot, they show the real Mallesham, his TEDx talk. So that worked so well for me. Like,
super edit that one.
yeah, it was like I wanted to see that, but it happened in the real life. They are showing it.
No,
That is one
actually,
of
that the person, real person, was so charming. The TEDx talk was
yeah,
amazing. I wanted to watch that. I couldn't get time. That in that few end credits time, I think 2 minutes only he talks. But he was
yeah,
fascinating. He totally grasped
yeah.
the audience. It
And
was
that part exactly again I felt like so good because even in that after the movie they'll be showing the real pictures and whatever happened. So from these things we can feel like okay it is real. We get that feel right. So that was genuine. Yeah.
I guess yeah, it was a great session, and thank you guys for joining. The questions were great, and the answers was even more better. So we'll have this recording sent soon, and probably we'll have. He looks keen to join another session also, right? So it's very nice of him. We'll try to catch him up maybe after some point of time. Okay. And next week is a special episode again because it's our 350th session. So we'll be having a movie which we always wanted to talk, but and we thought we have always talked, but we never did. We'll be talking about Old Boy next week, and we have kept it as a special event. Most of you might have seen. If not, also it's an amazing movie to talk and discuss, especially at this point of time. So feel free to join. We'll have an amazing session next week as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.